Coming out of the holidays, many of us received devices, but how many of us took the time to make sure those devices were secure before we dove in, installing apps, joining groups and conversations, and more? And how much are we paying attention to the young people in our lives? One security risk that may be overlooked are children's toys. As more and more toys become connected to apps, Bluetooth, the internet, parents may not fully understand the way the toys could be hacked or used to gain access to a home's other devices. Steph Whiteside talked to Hannah Rhodes with Illinois Public Interest Research Group about the risks and what parents can do to make sure their children are safe using these devices.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you today about children's toys and some of the sort of security risks that can come with these connected toys. And so I want to start out by saying, can you tell me a little about more of what examples are of these toys that have a tech aspect? I think most people think, oh, gaming systems, Nintendo Switch, that kind of thing, but there are also other toys that may get overlooked, right?
Absolutely. I think it's important to understand how smart toys work, and there's really 3 levels to smart toys. So first, there can be the toy that the child interacts with, so a toy that could have a camera or a microphone. Next, there could be a toy that has a mobile app, which can connect children to other users or to the internet. And third, there can be a personalized online account, which is storing data on the toy and its user, which presumably would be a child.
So let's talk about some of the risks. I think parents buy toys, they assume because it's for children, especially if it's for young children, that there's safeguards built in. And I think most people know kind of to talk to their kids about, don't give your information out to strangers on the internet, don't trust that the person that says they're another kid is another kid. But what are some of the less obvious security risks?
Well, one toy that we tested this year in our annual Trouble in Toyland report was the singing machine, which was the children's karaoke machine. We tested the Bluetooth connection, and we found that from 30 feet away and even outside of the home, a person could connect to that device. And one of the risks there is that a person could play an explicit song or a voice recording telling a child to come outside. A darker plot could be a person trying to connect to other devices in the home, other smart devices. One toy that we did look at in years past, and other consumer groups did as well, is cloud pets. But what we found in this year's report is that cloud pets were still for sale on eBay. And what we looked into was to see if any of the issues had been fixed. In years past, it got into hot water because the stuffed toys collected voice recordings, and those voice recordings of children were hacked. What we found is that website is still insecure. So if you purchase that toy from eBay or another resale site, you still could have the same issues that happened years ago. There are ways to work around. And with the singing machine, another thing to point out is that was just if the device was turned on. We didn't have to hit the Bluetooth pairing device to pair a device to it.
What about toys with apps? I know a lot of those apps are supposed to have safeguards to kind of make sure that adults aren't using them or that kids can't access things kind of beyond that kid's safe zone. How secure are those?
We have seen an example in the past where a company was able to upload as a user of the toy inappropriate content. So that can be a risk there, that sometimes it can be difficulties policing what users are putting on the platform in an app.
In terms of internet, I believe some internet connected devices or toys do say they kind of limit the parts of the internet that they connect to. Is that really secure, or do parents need to kind of take additional steps with those toys to make them safe?
I can't speak to the general security of the toy, but I would say no matter what, it's always important to be aware of what the smart toy can do and what the limits are. It's really important to be there when setting up a smart toy and seeing what information is being shared about your child and what they can connect to.
In terms of internet, I believe some internet connected devices or toys do say they kind of limit the parts of the internet that they connect to. Is that really secure, or do parents need to kind of take additional steps with those toys to make them safe?
When talking to their children, it's really important to outline what information they're even comfortable with their child sharing about themselves. to make sure that they're not skipping over the parental permission settings, especially if they're under the age of 13. And simple things that adults might look over. Making sure there's strong passwords on online accounts is something a child may not think of.
Yeah, I know a lot of adults don't think of that. What about things like, sharing Wi-Fi or other things like that? I think kids might be inclined, oh, my friend or somebody wanted our password. Like, how should parents kind of approach those conversations?
I would agree with you that it's an important conversation to have about, sharing Wi-Fi and passwords that are personal to a home and could be a privacy risk that a child just isn't aware of.
Yeah, because it sounds like the most important thing is really for parents to sit down with these devices and get to know them and what they're capable of, and not just kind of trust that because it's marketed to kids, it's fine.
Absolutely. Just taking the few minutes to be aware of what the device can do and what your child has access to is really important with connected toys.